All right, it's 6. I call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remind council members to try to speak into your microphone so everybody back there can hear us. Good? Thank you. All right, first up is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Is there any additions, corrections, suggestions? All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. All right, we have approved the agenda. Next is the consent agenda.
I move for approval of the consent agenda. Can you hear me? I'll try again. I'll move for approval of the consent agenda. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, I guess I have to get real close.
Put it in front of you instead of off to the side.
But I normally talk to you, so if you want me to like turn around and talk to people, I mean, you got, what's your choice? I'm doing the best I can, but thank you for we'll work on it.
Okay. We have a motion, we don't have a second. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any questions, comments?
I have 3 questions
Fire away.
on the accounts payable. First one is page 2 of 2. The swing set, game time for the swing set for 2658. My only question on that is any of that covered by insurance?
You said page 2 of 2.
The swing set at G Park.
Yeah, that, we have turned in, look at my cheat sheets here. $65,145.82 of damaged city property, less our deductible of $1,000. So yes, that is going to be covered.
Okay. Next one I have is on page 3 of 4. Multi-force systems annual fuel force support for 3133. I just wondering what that is.
I believe that's for a fuel system at DPW. Let me see if we can pull that out real quick. And of course, the M's are. Looking at the number, yeah, that's for the fuel system at DPW. That's the software. We upgraded the plan and a new island mounted controller for the 3133.
Yep. Okay. And my final question is page 4 of 4. Taylor LOL for cleaning services for 2 different times, $100 each at the Playhouse. I've never seen that before and wonder what's different at the Playhouse that we're paying somebody to do cleaning now.
I believe, let me just double check the dates.
I didn't know if that's something
Looks
that
like
coincided with.
9/7 and 9/14, Scott, if I'm reading it right.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was something that coincided with Fetch having to come inside or.
No, those are Saturdays. I didn't know if those were Sundays or Saturdays, but those are Saturdays, so those must be post-event cleaning. We've done that a couple of times. Outside.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. We have an approved consent agenda. Next up is messages. City manager.
I do have one brief one. We did receive notice today from the Michigan Association of, no, I better find it. Michigan Arts and Cultural Council, they did change their name. They used to have the acronym of MACACA, and I think that they changed it probably for the better, so now they're just MACC. The Playhouse did receive a $21,000 grant from MACC, Michigan Arts and Cultural Council, for Experience Support Program. Don't know the details about that, but we just received notice today, so that's a good thing. $21,000 additional revenue for the Playhouse.
Yes, it is. All right.
Have they received that in the past? I thought they had received something like that.
They apply just about every year to MACC. A lot of times we'll apply 2 or 3 grants in a cycle. And, you know, there's always kind of a hit and miss as to what we do get funded, but we do pretty good just about every year getting something.
Steve?
Yeah, I have something I'd like to put on the agenda for the early meeting. What do you call that again?
Work session?
Work session. For the next work session. Now that we have this beautiful parking lot downtown behind Pitkins and back in there, which it is really nice. They made it a lot better taking the islands and stuff out. Anyway, those people that park there have to walk around the front and walk all the way down past the new building and all that to get to the waterfront, where being the city owns right down to the bike trail, I'm sure, in fact I know they do, from that road. That's south of the parking lot. Spring Street, yeah. Okay, we own right down to the bike trail at that road end. I was wondering if we couldn't look into putting a staircase from that parking lot down to the bike trail and give people another route to walk down to the waterfront from that parking lot. I mean, we own it. This wouldn't be that big of a deal, I don't think. Tifa probably has lots of money to spend on something like that, I would guess. I
Yep.
guess you know more than I would.
We can include that.
Didn't we have that was going to COVID though, with the bike, with the bicycle ramp built in, we looked at it when Mahoney was, if I
Yeah,
remember right. we
there's,
looked at
there's,
that.
we do have the Slocum switch back a little bit, what is that, 2 blocks further south?
Yeah.
But there was a conceptual drawing to do something basically right behind the former bowling alley and connect up there. I think some of the concern was how much access we actually have, because the Lapham building property line, then a steep embankment.
Yeah.
But we can take a look at that.
It would have to be steps. I mean, you couldn't have it handicap access.
No, that's way
It's
too steep, right.
Yeah. But it would give some people a nice way to get down there without, and avoid the traffic and stuff like that to get to the waterfront. I just think that idea was offered to me from a taxpayer. So it's not really my idea. I can't claim it. I liked it, so I said, I'll bring it up.
Yep, we'll add that.
We could almost include that bike thing in that too, Scott, maybe. Cause even if, you know, the bicycle made it up that direction versus coming around. They build them, they build them with, the center is like a smooth area where you can actually walk up with your bicycle as well.
Oh.
So you could,
And that's
it
feasible.
does double duty.
Could be a switchback.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, I
I
see.
don't think that could be a straight, that's pretty
Okay.
steep, that probably would have to have a landing and everything else, I would think, maybe.
You could probably put a recessed rail for a bike, but
Yeah.
it could be kind of tough for a lot of people because you're basically pushing the bike
Yeah, all
uphill.
the way up.
You're not doing the steps,
Right.
but it would still be a bit of a challenge even going downhill.
Yeah,
If you lost grip of your bike, it's gone.
it's gone, yeah, that might not be a good idea then. I guess it depends what the plan shows.
Probably a kid riding skateboard down it anyway. who knows?
Right.
That's all I had. So,
I have nothing tonight.
I was at the marina and the little bird spikes are working extremely well to keep the birds off the light tops.
Hopefully the rain will wash
Clean
off
off a little bit.
Clean off a little bit. Hopefully they're not permanently stained.
where they were all sitting in the grass.
Yeah, they aren't happy.
Probably not.
They lost their perch. That's all I have, sir.
I got nothing today.
Scott, I saw some information and you and I traded some emails about the DTE grant that's available for trees. Could you, and you indicated that we normally do apply for that. Can you just share a little bit about that so we're all kind of on the same page, especially since we lost all those trees?
Yeah, typically we apply annually for a DNR tree planting grant. We've been very successful. And we've also kind of alternated because Consumers Energy has one as well. We've kind of gone back and forth. I think it's between $3,000 and $4,000 a year. As I mentioned to you, up until June 24th, it was getting tougher and tougher to find good locations for trees. Obviously, you don't want to start putting them under power lines. So we've been very successful with that. I think 2, maybe 3 summers ago, the Conservation District gave us 100 trees to plant. So we've been pretty aggressive and we'll keep applying for that. And I'll just double check with Brian. I usually do kind of double check with Brian and he kind of rolls his eyes at me like, yes, I've got that taken care of. But I will do it again.
So the conservation tree grant is different and additional?
That was kind of like a one-time deal where they had gotten a grant and they contacted a number of communities and asked if we'd be interested in a bunch of trees and we said, yeah.
What kind of trees typically are they?
You're asking the wrong guy. I'm not good with trees anyway, even to remember what they are. But Brian, a lot of times when we do our own planning, we work with Weesey's nursery, and they've got an expert who kind of talks about what kind of trees. And he always gives a pretty good speech when we do the tree planting for Tree City USA Day. Tree City USA and Arbor Day. They'll tell you what kind of species it is and why we're planting it there, and just goes in one ear and out the other side for me. But we do have experts that consult with Brian and the DPW groups with the plan.
Just out of curiosity, I saw a special, a week or so ago, on all of the FOIA requests that the National Archives get and the amount of data that they have, and it's completely overwhelming for them, and the wait for some reports for people are in the years for them to get their information. What's ours? We haven't talked about FOIA requests here. Do you have a rough number of how many do we get? How long do they take? Or if you don't have it, could you get it? I'm just curious how many we get.
Well, the chief could probably chime in from the police department because he basically handles the ones down there. But I think general FOIAs, probably maybe 20 a year. It's not a lot. We do have a lot of requests for information, and if it's just, turning around, grabbing a piece of paper, making a copy, we don't make the people go through, filing a request and charging them anything. So most of it is kind of, here it is. It's not a formal FOIA. But it's probably about 20 a year that we get. Around election time, we get a lot from some interested organizations. And those can be kind of very involved. It'll take Brenda a few hours to go through and find all of that. So it's not overwhelming.
Thank you.
Since I'm next, can I follow up quickly? Do we have a tree inventory on public properties, Scott?
I would say probably not.
Oh gosh, I think it'd be great if we could, and then if we could identify where we need to start replacing some of our tree canopies they make up our streets. So to the extent that we could start getting some trees in there to start, at least for future generations, get some of the bigger trees going. Maybe Reese's could help with that.
Perhaps. If there's students that are looking for a project.
Do you like that idea? They're 9, okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to be fast, because I have a couple of things, so I apologize for talking fast.
Just talk close.
Can you hear me? What did you do to my mic? I don't know. Okay, a couple of things. One, there's electronics recycling in Montague on Church Street where they have the farmer's market, and they take just about everything, your old cell phones, your old laptops. I think even the CRT TVs, and they work with the city of Montague. This is something we could consider doing as well if we wanted to have something on this side of the bridge. Do you participate in that? Or you just
I would.
You would, okay.
I would.
Okay, we got volunteers. That Sunday, it's free, I think. Yeah, it's free. And they haul a whole bunch of stuff away, so that's a quick one.
What date?
Pardon?
Which date?
Oh, sorry, Saturday, this Saturday, 2 to
They
4.
take cords too,
Yes.
cords.
And
Any
this
kind
is
of cord.
Random chord.
This is a huge service because, Goodwill used to take even the CRTs and they don't, so they provide a really good service, so.
Yes.
Number 2, if we could put Tannery Bay back on the work session, I had a discussion with a district supervisor of maybe Land and Water Management in Grand Rapids, and I just would like to explore what's going on the property related to wetlands, the conservation easement a little bit more, or a lot more, we'll see. The Senior Advisory Committee just won't quit working. They're very enthusiastic volunteers, and we're just trying to get the survey done. And they just keep working on it, and I think I'm just gonna say we're done and let's get it out. So, and then I think that will really pull in some good information for us, because we need to make some decisions. But I think I mentioned we had Senior Resources, Lisa Tyler come, she was just excellent. And then Brooke Schiller had mentioned hearing a presentation by Agewell, and they run Tanglewood in Norton Shores. And she came and we had her come and give a presentation. She was just excellent as well. And one thing to note, they actually, and not that I'm saying we have to do this, but some of our money could go to them and they could bring services up here and partner like with the White Lake Area Community Ed or the White Lake Senior Center and maybe make our services a little more robust in the areas we're looking for. So just kind of exciting. So what's that? The area of concern event, the 10th delisting, is shaping up. It looks like we're going to pick a Sunday in November. We're still working on it where the 2 mayors will be involved. We've got about 10 folks. And it's going to be kind of interesting because we're going to highlight the accomplishments of cleaning White Lake up. And then we're going to have the White Lake Association talk about their water quality monitoring. The DuPont group's going to update on what's happening with that site. We've got Ken Mahoney is going to talk about the folks that are gone, the people who were involved who are now gone. So, and there's going to be other things. So it's another committee. And then I'm going to be very quick with this, and I apologize. I am pulling together a report from the MML, which was 3 days, week before last. And I just want to mention a couple of things. One, I attended the business meeting, so I did my duty, and I voted on the new trustees who look really kind of excited. That's going to be in my full report. And then they updated their core legislative principles, which I thought was very interesting. Kind of my main takeaways, and the Michigan Municipal League actually is this, we belong to it, it's all cities. So like city managers are going, elected officials like me. There were 3 from the city of Muskegon and 2 from Muskegon Heights, so that was cool. So one of my main takeaways, Clarence Anthony, he's the CEO of the National League of Cities. He just talked about becoming a mayor at age 24 because he wanted to address crime in his neighborhood, and now he's the CEO of this national organization. He just talked about how local governments play such a role in driving positive change. So just very, very positive vibe. I'm sure you want to know who won the award, right? There's an annual award, placemaking award, and there were a number of different people who were nominated, and they were all running around kind of lobbying. Holton, Michigan, way up, the UP one, and it was just a fabulous transformation. They had this huge, I don't know if you've been up there, they had this huge, like, parking structure all along, they're very industrial, all along their lakefront, their city front. And so that's where you would have like hundreds of cars parking, And so their transformation was actually removing that and kind of reclaiming it. So that they won. So that was exciting. The other major takeaway, I'm hurrying, AI and government was a fabulous session. A little bit more than what you think, just ways to improve services, things like that. I attended 2 sessions, one on energy efficiency and sustainability, just some real quick things we can get started on if people want. One on mass shootings and public safety, and basically they said, it's not if it's not when, it's if, or vice versa. But based on what they provided, there's probably some things we need to be doing. Not that I think we're going to have that. Connected with a lot of city leaders, learned some possible best practices as we make our leadership transformation. I'm going to prepare a report. And next year it's going to be in Grand Rapids, and I would encourage more of us. One of the things I liked seeing was, and I met all kinds of people, is some municipalities sent 2, 3, and 4. Now granted, that was an expensive one, I get that, but you could see that they were kind of catching that positive vibe from the convention, and I'd like to see us do that. So thanks for indulging me. I want to thank you for letting me go. I appreciate it. And you will have a full-length report soon, okay?
Thank you for going. I think it's really important, and there's always a lot of
It was good.
things to learn there. And it's just great to network and commiserate.
I think the only bad thing is I don't think they recorded this. Why is that, Scott?
I think a lot of their, certainly their main sessions, I think, are recorded.
Okay, I'll check back. I was looking for evidence and I didn't see that. Oh, if that's the case, then I'll put some links. So I was very glad to go. I didn't like the drive there, but it was good. It was a long way.
Okay, let's move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to make a public comment? Doesn't appear to be, so we will move on to old business. I don't believe we have old business pending. So we'll move on to new business. Start Monday's fan club request. I think they're looking for a motion to say that we approve street closure for next year. Yeah, I'll make that motion to approve the North Mears closure Monday evenings from 7 to 10, start Memorial Day through Labor Day.
I will second that.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this?
I just want to ask.
I still think there's a better way to do it rather than close the road, but I voiced my opinion about that the last time, so we didn't get anywhere with it, so I'll just leave it at that.
I think I would recommend that if you haven't been down there, to get down there just to see what it's like. I actually had some of my cousins haven't been here forever come back, and they're like, they couldn't believe something like that, so cool, in my opinion, was happening in local Whitehall. I wanted to ask the chief, did we have any issues relating to that?
None.
And Scott, I mean, you're certainly entitled to your opinion, but I was actually, of course, and I know you know that, so I don't have to tell you about. But one of the things I was kind of glad that we closed it because, people kept to where they were supposed to be. But to me, I felt like, the only business back there is my lunch. They're closed on Mondays. They're happy about it. They have a little food truck there. It's good for them. I was concerned about safety if you would have somebody going in there when you have a popular venue on the sidewalk like that, So I think closing the road made it a little safer myself.
I like it also, but I would suggest that we not have the Playhouse pay the band when they play at Playhouse.
Why is that?
Why should the city be picking up the bill for that?
Somebody asked.
we actually make a profit in doing that, and that's only on rain events. I think there was 2, maybe 3 this year.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we've got to pay people who are musicians like that. I actually interviewed Tommy and Foster, and it took him a while to get to the point where he's a paid musician, and they have to be paid
I
if
don't
they're
have
gonna
any,
play.
I don't have any objection to that. I mean, but I think that, Fetch benefits greatly from that. They could kick in and part of the payment anyway for when it's at the Playhouse.
Maybe split it?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
All right. So what's before us is a council approval for closing North Mears next year, next summer. Make a roll call, please.
All right, Holmstrom,
Yes.
Kabala,
Yes.
Sickinga,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
Zemer,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
and Salter.
Yes. Okay. Next is Accutech's public hearing. Scott, you want to tell us about that?
Yes. Accutech's, or Highlight, in our industrial park, is looking at a 30,000 square foot addition, $3.2 million in investment, and an additional 32 full-time jobs. They're asking council to consider a tax abatement. We do offer them up to 12 years. I think we pretty much, for all the industrial ones, have gone the full 12 years. And just as clarification, we're not giving away any taxes, we're just delaying 100% collection of the taxes. What this is doing and asking council to approve is setting up the public hearing for October 22, because we have to give proper notification to the general public and all the other taxing jurisdictions.
How does it, aren't we giving away taxes for the whatever length of time it is? They don't pay it back afterwards, do they?
We're not giving away any taxes. They're paying half of what they normally would without an abatement. So this 3.2 million is completely new taxable value.
Okay.
And what we will do is we will collect half instead of 100%. So it is new taxes, and I just ran for the city. It would be an additional $12,000 a year for the city with the abatement approved.
Do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to schedule the public hearing for Tuesday, October 22, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussions?
Just a question. Scott, is this addition to what they are already in process of doing?
It's what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. As I was saying, it's almost built, I think, so.
Pretty close to it.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. We have an approval for that. Public hearing. Next is resolution 2430 sick leave bank. Does everyone know what this is about? Does it need further clarification from staff?
Needs more info.
Scott, please.
Want a motion first?
Yeah,
Motion.
you should do a motion and then second and then
Okay.
discuss.
Didn't we beat those Roberts rules? I didn't. I'm sorry, I did.
Looking for a resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2430.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion now.
Yes, back in 2000, we had a newly hired public works director who, very shortly after starting his employment with the city, found out he had pancreatic cancer. And obviously, as a new employee, there was no accumulated sick time. And back then, we had vacation sick and personal. So the city moved to create a sick leave bank where employees could donate. There was no, I think there was a maximum of 40 hours a year. Plus, you had to actually have that. You couldn't donate, future earnings. And employees could withdraw from that. They initially set up a committee that would review all of the requests. I believe there was probably, actually I think I had the number here somewhere, 15 employees who donated into the sick leave bank. And we actually ended up with 4 employees having to utilize those 3 employees who had to utilize those who had some pretty serious illnesses and had exhausted all of their sick time. So this allows the employees to stay employed and receive a paycheck on a regular basis. What we did in 2010 is we switched to earned time off. That was part of the union negotiations, and we just implemented it for the entire staff. So now instead of sick, vacation, or personal, you have earned time off. You can take time off for vacation, or if you become ill, if it's an extended illness, we have the right to request medical verification. If it's for a planned earned time off, you need your immediate supervisor's permission. So when we transitioned from sick and vacation to earned time off, basically the sick leave bank just went by the wayside, or so I thought, or so we thought. We currently have an employee having some serious health issues who will probably exhaust her or his earned time off in the very near future. Alyssa Seaver, I don't know how she came across this, but she found out that the remaining donated sick leave was actually being booked in our audit as unused, uncompensated sick time. And it actually accrued compensated absences, to be accurate. So there's 234 and a half hours sitting on our books. And what we're requesting is, I don't want to bring the sick leave, emergency sick leave bank back, but we may as well use it until it's down to 0. I know that Will and I have talked that there's some, I think it's federal level?
Nope, state.
State level changes coming on earn ETO versus sick and vacation. But I think that this likely won't affect it. So basically, we've got a bank account that we want to just do withdrawals until it's empty. And then it'll be off our books and it'll be gone for sure this time around.
So it's sitting there in hours, but does it actually have a monetary value to it?
It does. What the auditor does is take the 234 and a half hours, they take the average hourly rate of the entire staff. And when they run that through, I think it was about $7,500. One thought was, well, maybe we cash that out, but it's not actually money sitting anywhere. It's an expense to the city that hasn't been, it's a check that hasn't been cashed yet. So it's not real cash sitting in the bank. So yeah, there is an actual value, but it could vary depending on which employee actually takes it, but it's still the hours that would be utilized, not any type of monetary value. But auditors have got to put a monetary value on it.
I mean, it's not like we got, like you said, $7,500 sitting in the general fund that is earmarked for that.
Correct.
So I guess my question to this is if we get rid of it, are you looking at something different where people are able to donate CTO time or FTO or whatever we call it?
No, we're just not going to do it anymore.
Because we have this at the county, and this is Terry back there, sitting back there knows. We have this at the county, and it has saved multiple people their jobs. And I mean, we have one individual that just found out the other day that he's got, again, a pretty substantial medical issue, and he's going to need time. So we're able to donate up to 240 hours to him to put in his bank. So what I was thinking is if we take this out, whether we could come up with something like what the county uses where the person actually puts in for it. There's nothing on the books. People just take it out of their time and you give it and you put it, essentially you shuffle it from this person to this person. based on what they wanna do. Something I would like to see it just as I think it would be a good thing for the employees. I mean, if somebody's sitting there with 1,000 hours in their bank and they decide to give up to a limit, do a 240 limit, they wanna give 10 hours or whatever into that person's, bank so they could draw off for their sickness or their whatever they got going on. I think that's a good idea.
Department heads have discussed this on a couple of occasions. There could be a lot of problems in instituting this and managing it, especially if you do it on a case-by-case basis. There might be an employee who gets sick and nobody likes him or her, decides not to donate. We also have a cap on everybody's earned time off, and the cap is intended to cover the employees until they get to the point where they can draw long-term disability.
Okay.
We have that insurance. And I believe once you go on long-term disability, after a certain period of time, then you're reimbursed for the short-term period in which you had to use your own personal time off. I'm not sure what date that triggers. In our immediate circumstance, we are looking at that as another means. But again, this is just something that's, collecting dust in the corner. We may as well.
No, I like this concept. I just like to at least visit the other potential. I mean, just to keep our employees. And then essentially what we have at the county is we've got a 3 or 4 person group from different groups, one from the sheriff's department, one from HR and everybody else in their group, and they get sent, the people have to actually make application, and then they look at it, and if it meets the criteria that are set, and then they put it out to the mass email and say, hey, will you donate? And I've never seen one that hadn't, so.
Well, I think we can revisit it, but I think February of 2025 is when the new state laws go into effect. So once all of that dust settles, then we can take a look at maybe, because we don't want to implement something.
And then have it, not meet the criteria.
This court case is trying to set aside, that was a Supreme Court case that, back to a ballot initiative from 2016 or 17 that got related to PTO and sick time. And basically they're saying, Supreme Court case, that you have to go and now have sick time separate from vacation.
Also, we have to split that from CTO, PTO,
Right,
all those.
but there's now court cases, and so that's what the Supreme Court case said. And so, which would be a huge change for everybody that has employees to deal with that, how do you adjust? It's pretty quick. And so there's also cases, and it's likely that it might at least get delayed, but it's not sure exactly where it's going to go. So it's a little bit of a tricky time to start doing a lot of planning around that, because there's a lot of uncertainty.
In the last 14 years, has there not been anybody else that could have used this, could have been offered this?
I believe there was 2 instances. Again, we had one employee shortly after working, I think he broke his leg. He was living at home, still on the parents' insurance, so he had kind of that coverage. So yeah, there were 2 other instances in which this could have been used, but it wasn't. Because again, we didn't realize that it was still being carried on the books. Because it's in, when you look at the audit, it's kind of mixed in with all the other absences, compensated absences.
All right. I think we've discussed this enough. Unless anyone's got anything else? Roll call, please.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Sickiga,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Zinger,
Yes.
Hilbrand,
Yes.
Kabala,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. Resolution 2430 is approved. Resolution 2431, marina rates.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2431, marina rates.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
these are increases, correct, Scott? Slight increases?
Correct.
These are based on the state's rates that they set. Are their rates a not to exceed, or do not go over, or do not go under? Are we following a set requirement?
We are following a set requirement. The state rates, there's actually, this is how beautiful it looks. What we do is we adopt a rate, which is either a rate number or a rate letter, and then based upon the length of the slip. So we do have some people say, well, you're putting me in a 30-foot slip, but I only have a 26-foot boat. So yeah, basically the state says if you have a 30-foot slip and you're in rate 6, it's $2,244 per year for a season.
All right. We have a motion and a second, so roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Hillebrand,
Yes.
Bala,
Yes.
Sickinga,
Yes.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Zemer,
Yes.
and Salter.
Yes. Resolution 2431 is approved. Next up is Resolution 2432, Budget Amendment Number 1.
I'll move to approve resolution 24-32, budget amendment number 1.
Second. Been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Questions?
I wish Alyssa was here, but I'm sure you can handle
Give me a try.
it. I don't know, I don't really understand it again, same as the last time we had a budget amendment.
Well,
What's the difference between where it says storm and then it says storm transfer?
basically, what we did is, if you go to the first one, transfer to local streets, $40,000. That was, and I think we did that twice. We transferred from the general fund to the local streets, $40,000 to cover storm damages. Because a majority of the storm expenses for the cleanup happened on local streets. It was either major streets, local streets. We also had some parks as well as, I think those were the three big ones. So that's what it was. It was, these are all storm related, and the transfers were so that those expenditures in local streets didn't go deep in the red. And where we're at with all of these transfers is basically the fund balances. Major street fund balance is well above our target. General fund is right about target, and local streets will be at target. So I don't know if anybody did the math, but the storm cost us $575,000 and some change. And because we've had a very very good council and a very tight spending staff, it's a huge hit, $500,000. I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to hurt, but all of the funds are still going to meet their target reserves through all of this.
So the ones that are transfers aren't really expenses.
Well, like the general fund transferred $40,000 into the local streets, and the local streets spent that on storm damage. So yeah, they're
I guess what I'm looking at, if you take all the figures that are on that page and you add them up, it's $1 million. So the ones that are transfers actually aren't,
well, you can't count them twice.
aren't expenses. They're expenses that are already in the other ones that are listed.
Correct.
Okay. That clarifies it a lot better for me then. So your $500,000 expense for the storm instead of my $1 million expense for the storm is clear now. Thank you.
Yep.
And we didn't need to listen.
Oh, still either.
All right. If we don't have any further discussion, roll call, please.
Sickinga,
Yes.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Zemer,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Kabala,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. All right. Next, we have public comment. This is where the students step up to the podium and give their name and tell us their teacher, where they're from, and when we're done, we'll sign our papers. Yes, thank you.
My name is Caden Everett, and I'm with Mr. Brunson from Montague Government, and I had to come to a meeting. So
Good.
that's what I'm doing.
Thank you for coming. Was
Uh-huh.
it fun?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah, it was. I'm Caleb Hoffman from Montague High School from Brunson's Government Class 2. Here to just get it done.
Thank you.
I'm Colin Smith from Montague High School, which is Brunson's class. Here for the public meeting.
Thank you.
I'm Brady Perot from Montague, Mr. Brunson's class, and I had to go to a public meeting.
Thank you. Is that everybody? All right. Does anyone else in the room have anything they want to say?
I have a question. How come we never see Whitehall students here? Don't they have those?
They're not required, is my understanding.
What?
They'll march down there, take care of that problem.
That's on my list.
We'll put you on that committee.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think I could, a committee of one, how's
Okay.
that?
You're the chair.
Okay.
All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.